Killed while working in a music studio, where she worked hard night and day to create a better life for herself and her daughter. A senseless killing that remains unsolved to this day. Hi guys, thank you for your nice comments in my previous video, and I'm really trying to get this content out now to get it out on a weekly basis, so bear with me. Let's get into it. Today I want to talk about the murder of Yolanda, Lala Brown, and her boyfriend, Jaton Clayborn, also known as Kool-Aide. Lala was an R&B singer who had a top 3 hit with Lyfe Jennings. She was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1986. Her full name was Yolanda Rose Brown, affectionately known as Lala. Her mother is of Mexican descent and her father is African American. Lala was beautiful and the youngest of 5 siblings. She was the center of attention, and from a very early age, she had a love for music and was always singing. Her talent was evident from very early on. Her family even said that from her first steps, she was dancing around the house. So it was no surprise when she revealed that she wanted to pursue a music career. From just the age of 11, Lala had already begun performing. No different from other artists like Beyonce, who started performing at 10, or Amirah, who was a finalist on Star Search, aged 10, and performing with her aunt, Gladys Knight, at age 11. Lala was no different. She knew what she wanted and was very driven, was focused well beyond her years. She even chose a stage name for herself, and her dad became her manager. Going by the name Pierre, Lala started performing at weddings, and later, when she was of age, she would perform at bars. Lala attended the Milwaukee High School of the Arts. This is a school that was established in the 1800s, and it is a public performing arts school, which is quite rare because many performing arts schools are privately funded and are quite expensive to attend. Tupac also went to a public performing arts school, Baltimore School of the Arts. He and many other kids that came from poorer backgrounds was fortunate to be able to attend a performing arts school that was publicly funded, because there's no way their parents would have been able to send them to a private performing arts school with such high school fees. Not just anybody can go to these schools though. You have to live locally, and most importantly, you have to audition. Whether it's dance, singing, playing an instrument, or acting, kids have to show talent, promise, and star quality to get into these schools, all of which Lala possessed. One challenge that Lala had to face was getting pregnant at a very young age. This is something that can derail a young person's plans, hopes, and dreams. But Lala did not allow this to happen. Instead, her baby only inspired her to pursue her dreams even more. At 16, she gave birth to her daughter, Amirah Brown. Lala was determined to create a great life for her daughter, and she believed that success in the music industry was the way to achieve that. Speaking of her mother on her YouTube channel, Amirah describes her fondest memory. She would follow her mother to the store on her little 4-wheeler. They would go to the store, buy snacks, and talk. She said her mother would always make her laugh, and though their time together was short, she would always appreciate the quality time they spent together. In 2005, Lala travelled to Atlanta to pursue her career even further. She had the support of her family, who would help her out with her daughter as much as possible. So despite being a young mother, she was able to travel and continue to work on her career. She wanted to network with other artists, producers, and songwriters too. On Pierre's Panic Room podcast, Lyfe Jennings explains meeting Lala for the first time. He said Lala succeeded because she was persistent. He was asked about 3 or 4 times to hear her sing. He finally agreed to do so. He said he asked her to do her thing, and she sang a Beyoncé song. And he was impressed, so much so that he asked her to feature on a new track that he was working on. He was literally going to fly to New York the following day to record it. He wasted no time in getting her on board. However, Lala didn't appear on the song he initially intended for her. We all know Lala for appearing on the song s.e.x, but another singer had already recorded for that track. The original vocalist, though, seemed to have a controlling boyfriend who clashed with Lyfe Jennings. Now, her boyfriend assumed the role of manager and basically told Lyfe that he wasn't allowed to speak to her. They had to go through him. Lyfe wasn't feeling that, and they parted ways. So her boyfriend basically messed up her chance at pursuing a music career. Lyfe ended up putting Lala on the track instead, and the song reached number 3 on the Billboard R&B charts. It appeared on Lyfe's second album, The Phoenix, and the song is a cautionary tale to young girls, warning them not to grow up too quickly in relation to physical intimacy. Not only was Lala on the track, she also got to tour with Lyfe Jennings, and she essentially became a local celebrity. People were calling up her parents, asking them if it was their daughter that they were seeing on TV. But unfortunately, Lala had to face another setback due to a huge falling out that she had with Lyfe Jennings. Now, you know I'm nosy, so I looked all over to find the reason for the disagreement, but he has never said what the reason was. And he didn't even want to talk about what happened to her publicly until recently, out of respect for the family. Unfortunately, Lala was kicked off the tour and made to go home, feeling like a failure. Determined not to let this hold her back, Lala returned home and got right back into working on her music. She wanted to capitalise off appearing on the Lyfe Jennings track, so she knew that she had to come out with her own album. She got to work immediately, working with one of the hottest producers in town, Jaton, Kool-Aide, Clayborn. Jaton was a talented musician and producer. They called him Kool-Aide because of his beautiful, bright smile. His mother referred to him as a trendsetter, go-getter, and entrepreneur. He was a father of 2 to Jaton, Jeremiah, and Isaiah. Isaiah was born after his death and never got to meet his father. Jaton and Lala began to work on making music together. They spent a lot of time with each other and had real chemistry. This spilled over into their personal lives, and they fell in love. Jaton had been living in his studio for quite some time, and Lala eventually moved in with him. The 2 of them became local celebrities, performing at local clubs. When they weren't performing and taking care of their kids, they were in the studio, working on Lala's album. They were both very driven. They lived and breathed music, didn't have much time for anything else. The first 3 songs Lala recorded were I'm Feeling, Rescue Me, and Give Them What They Want. Give Them What They Want touches upon how Lala felt about what happened with Lyfe Jennings and the mistakes she feels she had made in her career. That's why this album was so important to her. Lyrics include, a snap of a finger and Lala was made, but whoever thought would make me a star, s.e.x would tear us apart. Started with life, now it's just dark, all from the torn apart feelings and hurt. I worked too damn hard to be unappreciated. I made some mistakes in my career and I hate it. Lala had success from featuring on a hit single. She was growing in status as a performing artist. She was beautiful, talented, and on her way to releasing her debut album with one of the best producers in town. With fame comes envy, especially from people in your hometown. Sometimes, those who should be your biggest cheerleaders are the ones who work hardest to bring you down. Just 3 days before her death, Lala confided in her hairdresser and a mutual friend of her and Jaton's. She explained that she had been receiving some disturbing phone calls. They started off as prank calls. Somebody would call and then hang up. But then they turned into outright threats against her life. The hairdresser said she never specified whether this person was a man or a woman, but she made it clear that she no longer wanted to live in the studio and was actually asking for his help about apartment listings. Then, the night before the murder, Kool-Aide studio was robbed of $10,000 worth of equipment. After this, Lala's family were adamant about her leaving the studio, especially as it was along a main strip. Everybody knew they lived there. It was open and people were coming in and out every day. So many different people were familiar with the layout of the studio too. But Lala probably reassured them that she did plan to move and wouldn't be living there much longer. On the night of October the 15th, 2007, Lala, Jaton, and Lala's family were reported to have gone out for dinner. After spending the evening together, Lala's father dropped the couple off at the recording studio. But a couple of days went by, and nobody had heard from Lala or Kool-Aide, which was out of the ordinary. One night, Lala's parents drove by the studio, and they saw that the lights were on. But when they knocked on the door, there was no answer. They even went to the property manager, asking him to open the door. But he said he couldn't do that for legal reasons. He said something about needing a missing persons warrant in order to do so. I don't think that would be the case today, or if it was back then. I think if you went to the police with good reason and asked them to do a welfare check, they would be willing to do that. On the fourth day, October the 19th, Jaton's brother Anthony decided to take matters into his own hands. He went round to the studio and broke the door down. He immediately noticed a foul smell. He went to the back of the studio. Upon opening the door, he discovered the bodies of his brother and Lala. They had been shot. He immediately called the police. When they arrived, it was evident that they had been there for a few days. Here are the details of the crime scene that were revealed. Cops found a very bloody scene. Jaton had been shot twice. Lala had been shot multiple times, including once in the back, indicating that she attempted to run away. The autopsy revealed that these were not close-range shots. Police believe they knew their attacker because there were no signs of forced entry. They believe the couple let the person in and even got right back to working on their music. That's how comfortable they felt in the presence of this person. No witnesses ever came forward, despite people coming and going from the studio on a daily basis. Police believe that the killer may be someone from the hood who had some petty beef with Jaton, maybe related to money owed, relating to studio equipment or something. They said that the suspect was in custody in Arizona, serving time for unrelated offences. In a statement, they said, MPD confirms a suspect it believes is connected to the 2007 homicide of Yolanda Brown is in custody out of state on unrelated charges. Lala's family expressed relief that the case was closer to being solved. Her father, William Brown, said, "The last few months, they told me that they have to make this trip to Arizona. They said when they came back, they should have some good news for me. So when they came back, they said they had a bunch of paperwork that they had to turn over to the DA and that they were pretty sure they got the person who did it. So at the time, the families were very hopeful You could see it when they were interviewed by the press. But sadly, despite that development, no other progress has been made and no charges have been brought against this person. It has been 15 years and Lala and Jaton's family are still waiting for justice. Jaton's aunt, Kathleen, was very active in pursuing justice for both him and Lala, but sadly she has since passed away, never getting to see their killer brought to justice. Jaton and Lala's families deserve to see justice, and we don't want any more family members to miss out on seeing justice served. The family believe that there are locals in Milwaukee who know who did this or have information that could provide more evidence.
These corporates know who they are. There's people in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the Brew City, that knows what happened to my son and what happened to Lala. They know what happened to Kool-Aide because they have been talking about it and they've been brown nosing around trying to find out answers.
Another birthday just passed, and once again, we don't have any answers. For me, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of lost faith in the system, and not to say that system is bad, it's just maybe it's not good for us. I mean, at some point, you got to ask, does Black lives really matter? Even in the Black community. Right now, this is 14 years we're going on. And we all have an inkling of what's happening. And for what's going on in Milwaukee, these were two of Milwaukee's favorites that had their futures right in front of them to actually put the city on the map. And unfortunately, they had to be put on the map with a situation like this, losing their lives. What we're just wanting is Milwaukee to step forward, to kind of take care of his own, and say, hey, we care. We care.
Lala's life mattered. Jaton's life mattered. They are worth people coming forward and just telling the truth. Local law firm Huppy and Abraham felt compelled to do something, and they put forward reward money up to $2,500. This is an example of locals doing their part to get this case solved. Anthony, Jaton's brother, has added to that amount a further $5,000. So last time I checked, the reward money is up to $7,500, and I'm sure that amount will continue to rise. If you have any information on the murders of Lala Brown and Jaton Clayborn, please contact the Milwaukee Police Department. Lala's daughter, Amirah, is in her 20s today. She's turned into a beautiful young lady who is a rapper, singer, and model. She too has moved to Atlanta to pursue a music career, just like her mother did. She is also working on a documentary about her mother's life, and Lyfe Jennings reached out to her recently and revealed that Lala had some unreleased music. He handed it over to Amirah, who plans to release it. Hopefully, as well as the case being solved, we can look forward to some new music. Amirah revealed that the last time she saw her mother was the night before she was murdered. She actually wanted to go with her to the studio that night, but her grandmother said no. Thanks for watching, especially if you've made it this far. Please share to keep this story alive. You know I read the comments, so please leave your thoughts below, respectfully, in case the family members read this. I don't care about me. And don't forget to click the bell for more. Take care and see you in the next one.
In the meantime, he'll remember his talented and fiery daughter.
You smile a lot when you talk about your daughter.
Yeah, because I'm still in love with her. I don't look at her like she's gone. Mm-hmm. Like most people say, well, I got 3 daughters and a son. They don't mention the one that's gone. See, I say I got 4 daughters.